What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome to episode 9 of my personal road to glory. This week is a big-time matchup. We take on the 5-3 Houston Cougars. I believe that's what they're called. Anyways, we're getting picked to lose, this and that, but there's one big-time battle that you want to be aware of, and that is obviously us, your boy C4, Mack, now the #1 leading rusher on the UCF Knights team, going up against Ed Oliver on the Houston defense. Ed Oliver is, I mean, look, they have a great passing attack right now, 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. But Ed Oliver, in my opinion, is the best player in college football now that Saquon Barkley has decided to declare for the NFL. He should be a top 3 pick in the 2019 draft class, and he is going to try his best to stunt us. Right now, we're averaging over 100 yards per game, and it is going to be incredibly difficult to maintain that against such a monster, but this is definitely going to be a battle of two freak beasts, and hopefully the Canadian, the Canuck, can persevere in this battle. So let's jump into the game. Alright, here we go in the game. Well, we're going to talk throughout this. It's going to be a little bit different. Like I said, occasionally I want to use this platform to talk about, you know, things outside. Like I said, it's my personal career mode, and this is definitely something that would happen probably in this real life if I did go down to Florida. And it's about the recent news that happened in Florida. As a Canadian looking down there, there was a school shooting. A bunch of kids died. It was a high school shooting. I believe it's somewhere close to UCF. So I feel like I should touch on it because I made a tweet on Twitter. Basically just comparing Americans' gun law to the Seattle Seahawks offensive line. Like, everyone on the outside is pretty clear that that's like a burning dumpster fire and there's something wrong with it and it probably should be fixed. But, like, the Seattle Seahawks are just like, all right, we know, we got to focus on other issues. We got to put money elsewhere. And Russell Wilson will make a couple big plays, enough so that everyone kind of will forget about the offensive line until the next time Russell Wilson struggles. Then people bring up the offensive line, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Does it sound familiar? And for the longest time, I've kind of been treating this as I'm not American. It doesn't really affect me. And it's like, you know, everyone wanted to get my opinion on the taking a knee thing and all that stuff. And I feel like if it's not my place, it's not for me to really tell you. Like I've said, for the taking a knee, I'm not a black person. Honestly, my opinion doesn't matter. So then I feel like for gun laws, my opinion shouldn't matter. But it's not one of those things where, you know, everyone knows the story about the football coach that protected some kids and is now obviously passed away. And I tweeted this thing, a Canadian drew it. Again, like, there's parallels. I'm not reaching to try to stick my neck out on the line and talk about this because a Canadian, myself, made this very compelling editorial cartoon. And I'll put it up. Hopefully I remember to put it up. And, man, it's one of those things, like I said, obviously the joking comparison with the Seahawks offensive line, which is kind of close, if you will. I'm going to give you my 2 cents. I feel like enough is enough. I know I have some people that are in favor of gun laws. I like guns, and you have other people. It seems like majority of people are, you know, in favor of things changing. But it's one of those things where here in Canada, we live in like somewhat similar climates in terms of our population, of our demographics. For the most part, I think when it comes to primarily illegal guns, which is like gangs and stuff like that, America has a much bigger problem. We don't really have a whole lot to deal with, but it seems like a lot of the massacres don't follow that path. They just come from the side of it's just easily accessible to get guns. In Canada, I come from a hunting family. You know what I'm saying? Like, people here hunt. We hunt a lot. I think there might even be more hunters in Canada than there are in America. It's a way of life up here, especially for a lot of people. That's how a lot of people eat. Like, especially like up where they literally live in igloos and stuff. They have to hunt to eat. So I couldn't even tell you where to buy guns where I live. Like, we literally within the last 6 months got a gun range. I think, hey, that's kind of fun. I'm a guy that likes guns or look fun. I mean, there's been I've seen guns in my lifetime because I do come from a hunting family. But, I mean, that's fine. That's a controlled environment. That's a shooting range. Like, that's what America should do. You should just make it so hunters can get, like, rifles and stuff for hunting, which would eliminate the high-powered assault rifles and stuff like that, because you just need a single-shot rifle to kill a deer or kill a moose or whatever the hell, a bear, whatever your guilty pleasure is, you know? And then everything else can go to a gun range. And then, you know, there might still be the occasional lunatic. We have some crazies up here in Canada. But it seems to work. It seems to work just fine. And the way the best way that I can describe my feelings is Jim Jeffries. Jim Jeffries is a famous comedian. I've seen him live a couple times. I really do enjoy his comedy. And he basically came out and said that there's only one real reason to be against, strengthening the gun laws, is that's because you like guns. And I was like, well, that's a valid point. I'm not left or really right on this issue. I'm right in the middle. Like, that's like my political. If you haven't grasped that from the multiple types of videos that I've done, that, streams importantly, because people always ask me of trending topics and stuff like that in streams, I'm probably right-leaning. Like I'm more Republican. I guess we don't have that up here in Canada, but I'm probably more Republican than Democrat on a lot of issues. But, the best way to say it is use something else for an example. Fast cars. I love fast cars. My dream car that, I might buy it someday would be a Dodge Challenger. You don't buy that car just to drive the speed limit. You buy that car so occasionally on a highway you can just let it rip. You can just, that car has so much power. It's awesome. It's gonna be it's exhilarating to drive, to sit in. It's real cool with it, right? But there's a reason why I can't just drive that car 100 miles an hour wherever I want. It's because there's speed laws. And why are there speed laws? It's because at one point in time there was probably no speed laws. And then a bunch of assholes, a bunch of idiots ruined it for everyone else, and now we have to obey the law and drive certain speeds in certain areas. It's a little annoying, yes, but the minority that ruined it for everyone, it stayed in place. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't see the connection I'm about to make, where, yeah, guns are fun. Guns make you feel cool. You like to in your own controlled environment, you like to just do what you want with them. Sure, have fun. Well, every time there's some lunatic that ruins the fun for everyone else, then you should accept, like, yeah, you know what? Probably don't need that. Probably don't need this gun. Probably could just, do without. I can hunt with whatever. I can have my one gun for hunting if I live in a hunting area. You're not gonna have some guy that lives in like Philadelphia, Center City, Philly, being like, yeah, I wanna go catch a couple bucks this year. Like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, man, it ties back to the video. Like I said, Florida, they like their guns in Florida. It's as southern as anything else. And this could be a scenario I would have ran into when I went down there. I know it's obviously not in the same time frame as when this school shooting would have happened, but there might have been a time where like the offensive line and the skill position players go hunting. Like hell, I see it all the time with Carson Wentz when he buys his offensive lineman, like hunting stuff like that. And I'd probably be like, man, what's the American gun laws? This could be another thing that adds to C4 being an absolute diva. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, he's not cool, man. He's a narc. He's not down with shooting guns. So it all ties back to the main issue. But that's basically, I don't know if I put it eloquently enough. It's just, rather you think guns are cool, they think you're fun. It's just, you just gotta understand that, like everything else in life, when one minority ruins it, like one bad apple will spoil every other one. Will spoil the batch. Will spoil the dozen. I don't know the exact turn of phrase, but you know what I'm saying? And that's what happens with guns. There's just so many assholes in the minority that keep messing up that, you might as well, like, you know what? If I make it a little bit more difficult to get guns and say, no kids die, it's a win-win. Like, I just find it incredibly, not necessarily insulting, because like I said, I'm not American. I don't experience this up here in Canada. Which I think as an American, if you're an American looking up here and you're kind of upset with all the shootings and stuff like that happen, you're like, well, Canada's kind of similar to us. They're pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit colder in some places. How come they don't have the shootings? I'd probably be a little frustrated. I'd be like, well, why don't we just have what they have? And that's kind of what we have, is we understand, okay, oh my God, look at this run. Oh my God, that run is beast. Like I said, man, this is sometimes when I do videos like this, I want to try to like write my notes out and stuff like that, so it comes off as somewhat compelling. I'm not trying to make some super argument where I can get into back and forth debate on you. I feel like if you're the kind of person that's gonna debate me, saying that, I think if you're in this debate that guns, no guns, and you hate the left that wants to strictly take away all guns, I think that's somewhat a valid point, because I don't think you need to quit cold turkey. But if you're one of those persons that thinks, no, it's my rights, it's the amendment, all this stuff, I mean, there's no talking sense into you. I just feel like the people, like, what are the reasons? Let's put it this way. Outside of hunting and gang members and illegal guns, what are the other reasons to have guns? So, you're either a redneck that wants to shoot like a car, like a broken car, or you're like some out of shape wimp that is really, really insecure and you think you need a gun to protect your family. Alright, Shermanator, do a couple curls, do a couple push-ups, and buy a baseball bat like everyone else in this world. You know, you don't need this to protect your home invaders. And even if you did need to protect a home invader, what are the stats on that? Like, for every massacre, for every murder like that, like, how much weighs, like, home defense, self-defense, defending your property? Like, it feels like you might, for every one kill that you get defending your property, there's, like, 30 that are innocent people dying. So I don't know, man. It's like one of those things where, at the end of the day, just, you know, sort your shit out, America. That's what I'm trying to put here. Is that our countries are not that different. There's some big time differences in, you know, maybe the socio-economical side of things. We have our poor people, we have our gangs, we have our hoodlums. But other than that, the drastic difference in massacres and all that stuff between our country, my country, and your country, it should be blatantly clear that something needs to change. But again, at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, it's not really my place. I mean, there has been times where, you know, it's crossed my mind, maybe I want to move to America. I mean, living in Philadelphia or something, if I get big on YouTube, there's definitely way more opportunities living in America than there would be living in Canada. Same goes to refer it back to this video. If I want to further my football career, I would have had to gone to America to play football. But with those gun, I mean, our healthcare alone makes me want to stay here. But with your gun law, like, it's not paranoia. It happens. Like, it's literally unsafe. Like, less safe for me to live in America than it would be for me to just stay up here in Canada. And now that I have a kid, it's another thing that makes me think about things differently. Is, I mean, when I was, you know, when it was just me, I'm like, all right, well, I'm kind of, you know, street smart. I understand. I can usually read a scenario that, you know, hey, maybe I don't go down that alleyway, or hey, maybe I don't go to this group of hood rats, which, you know, hood rats does not have any color. I've seen a bunch of white hood rats, a bunch of black hood rats, everything in between. We don't really have many Hispanics up here in America and Canada, surprisingly, right? But now that I have a kid, man, it's like one of those things. Every time I would see a school shooting, I'd be like, I have never seen anything like this in my life in Canada. I have seen knives and stuff like that, like weapons. I've seen weapons in my fair share. I grew up in a very racially hostile high school. If anyone knew where I went, there's definitely people that watch this video that are my friends or that know me in real life. Our high school, we had race wars and stuff like that, left, right, and center, that garnered national media attention. And if our gun laws were like America, there definitely would have been school shootings. There was a point in time in my freshman, sophomore, and really junior year where there was race wars twice a year. You know, one side pulling the fire alarm, everyone goes outside, and there's a big old school-wide fight every other week and stuff like this, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, even with those things, I'd still be like, well, I'd rather that than, you know, the Melvin kid that everyone picks on bringing a gun to school that he just bought from 7-Eleven. He got a free AR-15 with a Slurpee, a large slushie. And, you know, someone's really upset that he didn't accept his Roblox invite, and he's gonna shoot my kid. So, I mean, it's one of those things, I just think, like, if I was American, I would be a little bit embarrassed if this discussion ever came up. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not American. Don't worry, I'm not really American. I'm actually from Alaska. It's kind of an in-between state. As we just got a 17-yard touchdown, and oh my God. Why not end it like this? Give me a damn gun right now if this is how it's going to be. Oh, there's Ed Oliver making plays left, right, and center. I believe this is the second game back-to-back that we've lost on the last play where we've really had no control whatsoever. But maybe I wasn't as focused on the gameplay as I could have been. As you can tell, I skipped a bunch of the gimmicky plays that we weren't going to get the ball. And more looks like, I mean, look, we dominated. We went off. C. Forbes, Ed Oliver, we got 182 yards and a touchdown on the day. And it still was not good enough, unfortunately, to get the victory. As you know, it's looking like this UCF Knights team is not as good as we think they are. They're nowhere near the 12-0 that the UCF Knights were in real life. We still have a lot of work cut out for us, but that is going to do it for today's episode. It's pretty much more a tangent, a political take But again, like I said, it kind of relates back to the video because of the location where it actually happened and the shooting happened, and really how I would really approach everything as a Canadian going down to America. So, you know, a little bit of a debate. If things get too heated, I'll probably nuke it right in the butt in the comments. But thank you for watching. There'll definitely be another episode later on in the week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.